Okay, well, I think we're up. Jake, you're on the
Yep.
podcast. You're in a place to be. How's it going? You doing okay tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Long days, but they're worth it.
Yeah, man. Especially on what is it with this election day, man. It's kind of been a different day for
It
me.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, heads down doing work. You go vote and then they'll be counting stuff for days or whatever. I don't know.
Sure. I don't really know how it works anyway, but we didn't come here to talk about the election, but just to give everyone a little bit of your background, what you're doing now. I know you're out there doing big things and all this good stuff. Let's just start off like you just kind of, instead of me kind of introducing yourself, why don't you just give the people a
Yeah.
little gist of who you are?
Yeah, so I started a skincare company for guys in 2019. It kind of came out of necessity. I have a scar on my nose from a ski accident. And from that, went to Sephora, went to Ulta, went to a couple places and realized like none of these places have any ability to help me navigate what I actually need to get rid of the scar.
Mm,
So I kind of looked into the industry a little bit, realized it was culturally made for women, even if some products are unisex. And so I started Crete in order to kind of bring amazing products to guys without the feminine touch, let's say. So our packaging's nice and it's more designed for men. The messaging is about 30-second skincare. All of our products take 30 seconds or less to use. It's named Crete. We don't like to call it the beauty industry. We like to call it the handsomeness industry.
mm,
So yeah, we I learned chemistry. I formulated some of our products myself because I really wanted to make sure they were actually, they actually worked.
sure.
To put it bluntly, it's there's a lot of crap out there. I've tried a million products and most of them are mediocre at best. So, like anything, if you just do stuff a little bit better than other people will see that and they'll buy your stuff and then they'll stay on. Anyone can sell you something in an ad, but when you get our products, you don't return them. You buy them again and again and again and again.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. No,
yeah.
so if you don't mind, I mean, what happened in the ski accident? I know you said you had a scar on your nose.
Yeah. So
The accident?
I've been a skier my whole life and I was in Colorado. First day out, it's a beautiful day. I'm doing double blacks and in the trees and all the crazy stuff. I never get hurt doing that stuff.
Sure.
So blue, I'm going in really fast. At the end of the day, it's like 3:30. The glyphs are closed. So I'm the only one up there. And my ski hits some ice and just pops up and gets me like a sword while I'm standing. It's a crazy ski accident. Normally people fall, they tear their ACL or they hit a tree or something.
Sure.
So my own ski hit me in the middle of the face. I'm wearing a helmet, I'm wearing goggles, but got me the one place it could. Nose gets basically cut open. I have to call the ski patrol. It's not the most fun.
Um,
They zip you up in that little like body bag and toboggan you down, and you're bouncing the whole way, and it's not so much fun. So emergency stitches, fly back to LA, cosmetic stitches. Have to stay out of the sun for a year and a half. I have to wear this little mountaineering thing on my sunglasses that hides, scar from the sun. So it was a big thing. So basically, yeah, I could have been life changing. Now you can barely see it.
yeah. I would
So it was like a butterfly shrimp. Not to be too gross about it, but
never.
it's pretty intense. And so, yeah, it wasn't. You can't really hide your nose. If it's up
Agree.
here, like people with scars, you can hide it. Back here, something on your arm, you have sleeves. There's nothing to hide your nose. So had to learn about skincare.
How old were you at this time? I mean, you're
Um, 26, almost 27.
okay. Yeah. So when I was to kind of relate to you, that I forgot how old I was, maybe 5, 6, 7. I was real little and a dog bit me on my lip right here. And I still have a scar from it, in which
Yeah.
you can still see it, but it's not as noticeable. But back then, I was 5 and 6 years old. I didn't really know anything about it, or even know if there's. I didn't. I don't know. Maybe because I was so young, I didn't even really care about.
It wouldn't have been on you at that time. It would have been your parents would have had to know. But honestly, it wasn't a commonly understood thing. Like hyaluronic acid, women know it now.
Hmm.
Guys don't know what that is. Some do, but usually they were taught by a woman. So
Yeah.
we're going to come in and tell you that this is a substance that your body makes. Well, it's 500 to 1,000 times its molecular weight in water. And it turns out if you put various, of those molecular weights, they're called Daltons, on
Yeah.
your face, your body absorbs it, absorbs water into your cells and hydrates. So, you know, it's not rocket science. It's just a different ingredient that guys have never heard of. And once they
Sure.
hear of it, they'll never use anything else. So that's what our first product is a concentrated moisturizer that uses hyaluronic acid.
Mm.
There's other ones out there, but they usually use a little bit too much water. They're a little thinner. They don't coat your skin as nicely. They dry and it's like sticky. They use oil too. Or they use just low quality, manufacturing practices.
Mm. So
Pretty. Yeah.
you were going through time, where, you're wearing certain sunglasses and trying to cover this up. And I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, when you were 26, 27 years, I mean, I know obviously at that time, you're kind of, you're in your peak basically. And, and, I can't really relate to it just with my scar, like I told you about, but I know if you've had like even, something on your face, like, acne or scars or whatever, that you're just kind of insecure. Is that the word I'm looking for when you go out?
Yeah, insecure and
Like vulnerable,
you're very
maybe?
aware of it.
Yeah.
Self-aware is it's not really self-aware. I had to relive that moment every day. And so right now it's fine because it's years ago and my nose is fine. And so like I started a company based off of it. So it's
Sure.
fine. But a couple months after it, when I'm wearing this stupid thing on my nose, I you know what, I wish I had it around because I put it on and it looks ridiculous. I mean, people would be like, what the hell happened? And I have to tell the story again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that, it was you know, it didn't look great.
Right.
It was really red and I don't know. It sucked. So basically, that was one of the reasons I discovered concealer specifically because after it had healed, I could put concealer on it, and that was able to not just healing takes a year or two, but
Okay.
the concealer you'd put it on and it would just disappear. Oh my god, this is amazing! Why don't guys really use this? And it turns out most guys have used it, maybe for prom, for a pimple, or something here and
Sure.
there, and they just thought it was a female cosmetic product. So that's we're launching a concealer early next year because guys should use it if they have dark circles or blemishes or acne or something like that. We're not doing a whole face of makeup. It's like I have it on my nose right now. You can't see a scar. It's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. It's, looking back at it, I remember going through high school and stuff and that, it was always kind of, guys should never wear makeup is kind of what the narrative was, right? It's like a cultural narrative, I guess. And that, but there were times like going to prom that I remember, if I had like a little bump or something, that's like, man, I wish I could get this to go away. It's like typically like you see it in movies all the time that, oh, you got the pimple the night before the prom or whatever. But
Yeah.
no, but for guys, like especially where I grew up in a very rural area where it was just like, oh, you're wearing makeup, dude, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Wait, what the heck you doing, man?
I mean, I grew up in New York and LA and it was still like
Really?
not, yeah, it was still not like, it just never was socially acceptable.
Sure.
Um, and that doesn't make sense. That might make sense for other things like, lipstick and eyeliner. Like, this is not that. We are not trying to like make you beautiful or beautify or whatever.
Right.
This is a like very functional tool. And if you have something now, you hide it. It's not to make your lips look more red or your eyes look long or your eyelashes look longer or any, I don't even know how to speak to those things, to be honest, because not what but for instance, right now I have like some redness from shaving earlier, and
Sure.
I just like did this. You can't see it. It's
Yeah.
great. It hurts. It's there. But you can't see it.
Yeah. No, we're in a new age of stuff just because, and to our point that, there's companies like, is it Manscaped? And then I don't know. Yeah. Then Hims have coming out with like I think is that hair? I don't know. But
This is Viagra and Propecia. So
maybe
yeah,
that's what
they've moved into other things. But yeah, it's they made erectile dysfunction and baldness humorous and kind of broke down the barriers of selling that stuff online.
Yeah.
The humor. Manscaped did the same thing about like trimming your area. So it's these are taboo things, and now all you have to do is make them funny. So we try to make it easy. We try to make it funny. We are pretty savage in our comments when people talk shit about us, which is rare, but the real thing online that's funny is people will come up with the most ridiculous skincare or like remedies, like microwave sweet potato and cut it and put it on your face to go to bed. Like,
Mhm.
no, don't do that. Nobody should do that.
Yeah. I've heard of like putting toothpaste on your pimples and stuff like that back in the day too.
Yeah, it's like please don't do that.
I mean, I don't know what the science behind it was or where that even came from, but it's one of those home remedies, backwoods things that's be like, oh, just do this, just be perfect in tomorrow. I was like, I doubt it works that way. So, but I mean, moving forward though, so all this was happening. You got your, that scar. You're wanting to conceal it, and then you started studying. Did you know chemistry beforehand? I know you went to the University of Penn, but did you start studying it then? Like, all right, we got to get this shit right. I want to make sure I can start helping people, help myself. I mean, how did that go down?
There were two. I always loved chemistry, but I did not study it. I didn't take any chemistry in college. I took a bunch in high school. I was definitely in the chemistry club. I did my senior year. I think it was my senior year. I did brew some like beer and wine.
Nice.
I thought that was interesting, and so that's some chemistry. But no, I just it was a function of necessity. I was self-funding this company. I wanted to start. I talked to formulators, and they basically said that it was 20 grand and it would take about 9 to 18 months to make a formula. I said,
damn,
what could take that long? And they're like, well, there's variations and feedback and this. I'm like, feedback? How long does it take to actually like formulate? They're like, maybe a couple of hours to make a formula. I'm like, okay. Then how long does it take to test it? 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, well, then the next day, can you make a new formula and prove it? And maybe you do that 10 times and you have it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, there's other companies. You're in line. We need raw materials. It was crazy. And then on top of that, they try to own the formula. So that way you can never leave. So they'll charge you like $1,000, but they own it. And then you might have to order $500,000 to $1 million from them in order to be able to buy the formula rights. And so I didn't like any of that. The price, the timing, or them owning the formula. So I looked up all the best serums. I ordered them all. I tested them all. I broke down all their ingredients lists onto a spreadsheet. I said, okay, what are the common ones? What are these individually? Looked them up, ordered them individually, and mixed them in these suggested proportions until I tweaked it. Made about 150, 200 something formulas myself.
Nice.
And, eventually one of them was just one out. And, yeah, we've sold 10,000 plus, I don't know, and grown like crazy. And I think it's going to end up winning a ton of awards once we kind of get to that level.
Yeah.
Next level, I think we'll submit it into some, I don't know, GQ contests or things like that. However that works, it's going to be winning awards because it's literally the best serum on the planet. I made it until it was.
What? Was that your initial goal? I mean, what was that like day in and day out? Just sitting there saying like, I'm going to make this right until it's perfect, just because, trying so many different trials and going through this whole process where some people would, after 10, 20 trials, let's say, they're like, man, fuck this. I can't get this right. But for you, I mean, was it just a drive and where you were like, no, I won't work?
It's kind of interesting because I don't know, like I both know exactly what I was thinking because it's my same personality I've always had. But it's also like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, what gave me the confidence to say, yeah, I'm just going to formulate the best thing out there?
Sure.
And the kind of answer is that I had a shoe company, I had a crypto fund, I had a software company. One of those things where if you follow a specific kind of learning process and break things down into their first principles and execute on them and really try to learn and get honest feedback and go into every rabbit hole that there is in that subject, you will, after time and after many iterations, get something that works in that field. If it's rocket science, it's going to be a lot harder because the experiments are hard. This was making things that were water soluble and mixing them in various proportions. I could do 5 formulas, 6 formulas a day. And I broke it down. For instance, one of the things I mentioned earlier was like the molecular weights of hyaluronic acid. Right. So if you use what's called, they're called Daltons. If you use 10,000 Dalton level, it's watery. It's basically, it dissolves in water and it gels. It's like super thin. That's why a lot of serums have little droppers. If you use 1.5 million Daltons, which is kind of the upper limit, it's like a very thick gel. And then it kind of gets less jelly as like a gel as you go down. So I tried 10,000, 50, 100, 250, 500,000, 800, 1,200. 1.2 million, and then 1.5. They're 1% usage rates, so I mixed that with 1% of that with water.
Right.
I let them on gel. I tested them. okay, I like about, 800,000 and 1,200 and 1.2 million, and I kind of learned brick by brick sections of the formula. I had to learn the preservative base was a specific other section I learned. So I just kind of broke it down into manageable chunks. And then when I put them together, they just kind of worked.
Sure.
I got pretty lucky. There were a couple things, polar versus non-polar, anionic, cationic, other things that I had to learn that can go wrong and cause foaming or other issues. But yeah, once you kind of learn a couple of the scientific principles and broke it down, I mixed them together and it worked. And then from there was a little tweaking, but
Yeah, once you get the main factor down, or like the foundation, it's kind of like you just said, just going from here and just testing it until you
yeah,
just get it just exactly right. Like, that's badass. Like, I think it's awesome where most people, I've never created anything, but I feel like maybe this is generally speaking, of course, that people would just get the foundation of it to say, cool, we got something, sell it or whatever, where you took the extra touch, I guess, to say, and just that, oh, I want to make that perfect. I love stuff like that. And that makes me like, when I'm looking at products and reading about them and people who invented them, just, oh man, this is the type of product that I would want somebody who would make it to the best of their ability.
appreciate that. Yeah. So for instance, like it smells a little bit like apple because we use apple stem cell extract, but we also add apple fruit essence, which has a little sugar in it that thickens it up, but also is a nice scent. I didn't want it to be too, powerful. So made the formula, put 1% of that, two, three, four, five, six. And then I just gave a bunch of friends over and was like, which one smells like
Yeah.
subtle the best? I got 20 people's feedback and it ended up being, let's say 5% or something. And then I was like, okay, that's what that ingredient's going to be at because that gets you the appropriate scent. And then the sugar
Mhm.
helps gel it a little bit more. So, it was just kind of brick by brick and getting the scent right, getting the color right, getting it to work as well as it possibly could. There's a lot of, tackiness is like when you do this, if it's like sticky, the slip is how it spreads. There's all these terminology that you use in formulating. And so I focused on all of them and which things would affect that. It was a lot. But then once you end up getting the thing that performs and all that, you sell a product and people go, holy shit, I love this. And then they buy it without us needing to tell them to buy it again, again, and again. So like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's why we're growing at 30% month over month. It's like
Awesome.
we don't, we have repeat customers like crazy.
Did you expect to take off like this?
Um,
Or
yes, no. I thought it would take longer, but I did expect it to be this successful.
nice.
I did think because it's not like it hasn't taken long. It's been 3 years, but I thought we'd have fewer sales this year just because we figured out our marketing in the same way we kind of went brick by brick with the formulas. We did that with marketing and we hit some really great messaging really early on.
Sure.
So we got pretty efficient and that let us, increase budgets and really kind of push this faster.
Yeah. Well, I think also it's very admirable if you created this 3 years ago, even going into COVID and just keeping something like this going, because that was a tough time for everybody, obviously.
Yeah, the biggest difficulty for us was just getting components. So our bottle is a 1 ounce serum bottle with a pump, and that pump was the exact one people were using for hand sanitizer.
Mhm.
So that was just sold out, and we also felt weird buying it if it was used for that. So at the time, so we were like, okay, we don't really know how inventory is going to go. So, and we just basically were selling. We didn't have a ton of inventory because we couldn't. And then we just focused on marketing efficiency and future product development and things we could control and, registering our trademarks and
Sure.
all of those kinds of things. And now we're done all those. And we're like, well, this is great. We have a lot shit done. Let's just sell a bunch.
Yeah. Was that kind of also during COVID, talking about getting those bottles with like supply chain issues and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I built our supply chain probably because I was focused on the difficulty of it. We try to do as little custom stuff as we can. So our bottles are 1 ounce and 4 ounce amber Boston rounds. That's just the type of bottle. You can get those from 100 different suppliers. If you get a custom printed label, I could get that at 100 print shops as long as it's a specific material.
Right.
So there's almost no way, the pumps, there's a lot of interchangeable pumps as long as they have the same thread. We love the specific ones we had, but if those were for some reason sold out, there's 50 other types that are 95% the same. So we're pretty resistant. And then from the ingredient side, apple stem cell extract we do import from Switzerland that I have to be conscious of. Everything else, again, multiple suppliers. Yeah, it's built to withstand whatever is thrown at us. If we can't get ingredients, no one else could get anything.
I see.
Way more screwed than we are. So
Was it ever overwhelming to you at time when the startup of this business? And I know you said that didn't know it would take off this quick, but was there ever like something in the back of your mind like, what if this fails?
yeah, of course. I mean, it's my fourth company, so
Nice.
some of them, two of them were pretty successful. One was successful for a while and then kind of sputtered out. But I've helped a lot of other companies. It's almost impossible to actually build things that last and grow and grow and grow.
Mm,
You have to kind of have a little bit of this grit and delusion that, like, yeah, whatever you're going to do, as long as you do it well, will win.
sure.
But then also the grit of the day to day of, like, I'm just answering customer service emails for 3 hours. And you know what? I end up getting those people to not cancel a subscription and actually order more. And then those people tell their friends. You never know what the thing is that takes you to the next level. So you just kind of have to keep going every day. And there's a lot. But I don't know. I'm overwhelmed? No. Stressed because I have a million things to do? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this being your fourth company, so you've always been kind of a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, I've never actually been employed.
Nice. I mean, that's badass to say that, coming out of college, at a pretty prestigious school that you just been self-employed.
Yeah, I never used it's not a waste, but it's funny because I've never since graduating had a resume that I put that on and applied anywhere.
Yeah.
So, I had internships in college and I like worked at places, but not as an employee. So yeah, I've legally never been employed anywhere.
Yeah. Dude, that's so badass, man. Just because there's probably people hearing this right now just screaming at it just because there's so much value. And, I have a regular quote unquote 9 to 5, but there's so much value of being your own boss and, just sitting around for 3 hours and answering customer service emails and then just say, hey, I want to take 2 hours and go hit the golf course up or whatever you do in your spare time.
Yeah, but you end up not hitting the golf course.
Well, yeah.
So, after this, see, everyone thinks I don't have a boss. I do. It's my customers. You always
True,
have a
good point.
boss. That's what I always say. It's like, and then when you have investors, your investors can be your boss. Like, you don't not have a boss.
Mm,
Okay, maybe if you win the lottery and you literally have money and not, but then again, there's no purpose. You're not going to be happy.
sure.
Can I just decide tomorrow to do nothing? Yes. Will I? No way, because one, there's a lot going on and I have to do a lot. And I have a team now, and I also owe it to my team to keep pushing.
I agree.
But yeah, you definitely do trade in a 9 to 5 for a 24/7.
Yeah.
So yes, I absolutely could take a couple days off, but you don't end up doing it.
Yeah. No, I understand
It's
completely just
it's
because
it's
it's,
I
it's,
actually need to get better at it, to be honest.
well, it's one of those things that, when people look, at your success or whatever, and, is where some people probably say, oh, it's so easy for Jake to do this because of X, Y, and Z. But, they don't really understand, like you just said, yeah, 9 to 5, but it's actually a 24/7 job. They don't really understand the work that you're doing behind the scenes and the sacrifices that you're having to do. Like, just talk about, do I actually go to the golf course? No, because I know I can't. So they don't understand those, like that extra work that's,
Yeah,
man,
it's a 24/7 grind, but you also get to do it for yourself. So
sure.
like I wake up every day with purpose. I wake up every day knowing that I control my own work. It's a really good feeling. On the other side, I wake up every day being fully responsible for myself and multiple people, figuring out what we're supposed to do. And if I pick something that's a task that's stupid, it wastes money, it wastes time, it wastes energy. So if I say, hey, let's build a bunch of landing pages for our marketing with our marketing team and they don't perform, it's like, okay, well, I just wasted a week of everybody's time.
Yeah.
And if 5, 6 people worked on that, I just wasted 7 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks of time, and that's like a lot of time to pay people for and be responsible for. So, every day that you wake up, if you have 6 or 7 people on your team, that's a week's worth of work every day that you either make worthy of like the time and everything. So, my to-do lists are crazy. You have to get very good at figuring out what's going to deliver value soon, and prioritization. And you have to get very good at saying, okay, this isn't working, cut it, like move on.
Was
You
that
can't.
hard? Was that hard for you to learn that?
In some areas, yes. I learned that probably in the first software company. I would fall in love with features and they weren't working, and I would like,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want it, whatever. Now, not even a little bit.
Uh, Well,
It's you build stuff so that it wins, and if it's not winning, you get attached to the result, not necessarily the idea. And that's good because that means anyone can have a good idea. I don't care if they come from me or someone else. My ideas can be terrible one day, and my team will tell me. You know,
yeah. Well,
so
that's awesome to have that constructive feedback, even if they tell you that it's terrible. Just because in my point of view, I would never want quote unquote again yes man around me, just because that's not how you grow as a business. And
no, they'll literally say
yeah,
words like, "That's a terrible idea." I'm like, "Okay, maybe." Will explain to me why, and they'll say, "I'm like, oh yeah,
for
that's pretty
sure.
bad." Like
Yeah,
we're pretty brutal and savage to each other. So
yeah. How big's your team? Is it pretty big?
um, it's about 6 or 7, and then I probably have another like 5 to 10 people who are, you know, contracted as needed, photographers, content creators, email marketers, etc. So I like to run stuff pretty tightly.
Right,
My
ship.
philosophy is it's easier to not spend money than it is to make money. So it's like I don't need an email like 5 email people. I need one good person, and if it's the holidays, you're on like full time basically, and then after the holidays, you're part time. We scale up and down all the time.
Yeah, that part, that business strategy right there, or whatever you want to say, leadership strategy. Was that something else that you just kind of picked up along your way, and or is this all like kind of coming from your all of your companies that you've done, and you just learning everything little by little?
It made sense to me. I mean, I never had a traditional job, so I never had maybe the habits of a traditional workplace. I
Yeah.
never had the, you know, structure or corporate structure drilled into me. So if it's like, oh, I need these things designed, can you do it for $2,000? Let's say, okay, you can. Good, there. Okay, that's the job. I'll talk to you soon. Like, I don't know. You don't have to be employed with us. I don't need you right now.
Sure.
It's so for me, it just was what made sense. Especially self funding a lot of things, you get very conscious of budgets. Um, yeah, you just want to spend money where it's going to impact you, and having a bunch of people hired in a startup is the first way to just set stuff on fire, your money on fire. Office space, as long as I control stuff, we will never have an office. Like
Nice.
period.
See,
It's all remote work. It's all outsourced manufacturing if we can.
see, that's so badass to have these unorthodox and outside the box thinking where people pick up these certain principles and best practices and wherever it is, wherever they like their actual work or education or whatever. But it's people, like you who say, no, let's do things a little bit differently. Let's, think outside the box here. And then it works, and it's just like, things don't always have to be A, B, C, D, E, F. And
I was working from home since 2012. So when the lockdowns happened, I was like, literally nothing changed. Obviously, after a month, it's like, okay, like
yeah,
okay, everything in the world is changing. But for the first couple of weeks, I had a lot of friends calling me like, hey man, we know you. I was the only person any of my friends knew who worked from home. And at that point, I'd been doing it for 8 years.
no,
So they're like, how do I do this? I was like, well, try to do work in one area and then make sure that like when you're done working, you put that away and like don't work in your living room while you watch TV because then you're not going to mentally separate. There's just little things there's a book called like Rework or something or Remote. I think it was called Remote. It's about remote work. I read that. Had some tips in it. Wasn't that hard. The big thing was not overworking. That's actually the thing that I had to learn early in my time because you're just sitting here. I could just work all night.
yeah.
And you.
Well, how did you learn to, cut it off? I mean, did you say, hey, I'll work till 8 o'clock every night, then I'll go do my
No,
thing?
it's about specific tasks. I make to-do lists that are literally impossible for any human to do in a day. and then I try to get as much as I can, but I do it in order of like what actually has to get done. So I usually get done with the stuff that has to get done by, let's say, midday, and then everything else is extra. And then I just kind of work. If I'm exhausted at 8, I'll stop. If I not, I'll go to 2 a.m. It's like kind of just by feel. But I've already accomplished the things that have to get done as early in the day as possible. So, if we have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday email that we need by, let's say, next Tuesday, I might go work on it after this.
Sure.
Do I have to? No, but it's better if it's done.
Yeah.
I don't want it to become a thing I have to do
I
on
get
one
that.
day.
I get that.
So it's, the philosophy is never be the bottleneck, in my opinion.
See, I wonder if that's a false narrative when it becomes to entrepreneurship, where it's people like, hustle culture, I think is what it's called. It's people like The Rock and Elon Musk who said they were working, I don't know, 16, 18-hour days, and they only have to get 4 hours of sleep, and like
Uh-huh.
you've always got to be grinded. But it's usually like, but it's you said, like, what I like is like the quality of work and actually setting up a to-do sheet and getting, hey, I'll get all this done and then we'll see what happens after that, which
Yeah,
that seems badass.
I get a lot of sleep. I don't need a lot of caffeine or things like that because I get 7 or 8 hours minimum a night. Some nights 9. It's like midnight to 9 a.m. is my goal.
Yeah.
And I've never commuted, so I've never had to worry about it. I've never, this is what I wear to work, so I never have to worry about it. I don't like a lot of calls, so I don't have to necessarily look the greatest. So there's not a lot of wasted time. And if you can try to stay off social media during your breaks, because that just changes your whole focus of the day,
Yeah.
then you just get a lot done. And if you get 4 hours of sleep, maybe they have like the gene that lets you do that. I don't. So
Sure.
for me, I wake up, I can get right into work because I just slept 8 hours. It's not that hard. But yeah, you never want to trust people that look busy. You want to trust people that are getting stuff done.
Mhm.
So I never like to look busy. I just like talk to me in a month and you'll see that we have another product launch, something. We have materially different company every 2 months. That's the goal. Is like every 2, 3 months, we're like a very different company. We've leveled up. Our revenue's twice as much. Our products are more released. We're on 2 more channels, marketing, something like that. But yeah, it's about the quality. I don't know. I mean, those guys are trying to sell books and movies and lifestyles. I'm not. Like, I'm actually trying to get my work done. So yeah, I don't know. I never had a problem with it. It really focus is the main part of it, though. You know.
Well, I like what you just said. You don't never want to trust people who have to look busy.
Hmm.
And there's a book, and I forgot who wrote it, but it's called Bullshit Jobs. And it's basically talking about these pointless jobs that people have in their 9 to 5s or 7 to 4s or whatever it is. And they all day long, they're just looking like they're typing shit and doing like ridiculous stuff just to stay busy, just to impress their bosses or leaders or whatever.
Yeah, and you can tell that a little bit, like the higher level. That is like people use a lot of jargon. You
True.
know, I remember in the crypto world, it was like everyone was constantly saying just, and I knew all the jargon. It's just like talk like a regular person because I don't think you understand it when you just start chucking out big words. Like,
Mhm.
look, I studied math and economics. I understand what you're saying, but like, I don't think you understand what you're saying. I think you think someone is smart and are like parroting them. So that's another thing for me. I kind of, we of course have certain marketing jargon that we have to say because that's the ROAS or AOV or LTVs because those are the things that describe what we're literally talking about. But we have a rule of like never go above and beyond with jargon because
Like that.
it's like corporate jargon is just the worst. It's like let's all just talk to each
I
other like
love it.
people.
Because a lot of people, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but I pick up on that when I'm very one of those. I don't know what I don't know, and I'm not afraid to admit that. And
Mhm.
that when people start talking to me like that, whatever you just said, LTVs and stuff, I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But you can pick up on that. I don't want to say it's a bullshit meter or whatever, but when people are just overly just trying to exert themselves in front of you and say that jargon shit to you, and you're just like, what? Like, shut up, man. Do you even know what you're saying right now?
Yeah. So like LTV means lifetime value. It's like if you're a customer for whatever the lifetime of a customer is, let's say it's 5 years for us. How much are you worth? How much are you going to buy from our stuff? $500 maybe, $300. So what's your lifetime value? And then like CAC is like customer acquisition cost. If we had to pay $50 in ads to get an ad in front of you that actually got you to buy stuff, but your lifetime value to us is $500, then the return on ad spend is, 10x,
Yeah.
because we spent $50 and we're going to make 500. So, you have to use those things when you're in a marketing meeting, but I would never use that in a meeting with our developers or, with our packaging designer. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
What do
irrelevant
they use
stuff.
that for?
People like jargon a little bit too much. I also don't ever use LinkedIn. I probably should start a little more, but I just can't. I can't. It's like the worst platform for me in the world.
What do you mean? Just because of?
I go on and it's just like business virtue signaling, like self-congratulatory, like look what I did. It's like,
Give me
it's
a
just weird.
pat on my back.
Everything in my inbox is someone trying to get me to use their service. It's like, hey Jake, I noticed congratulations on all your success. I'm like, you don't even
I get
no
that
idea
all
who
the
I
time.
am.
Yeah. And like, hey, do you have time to set up a 15-minute call or whatever and talk about it? It's like, shut up. Like,
Yeah,
what
and
are
you
you
can
talking
see that they like have like a little line that they think is gonna get you. It's a hook. It's
about?
like blah 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 is really hard to do, but we understand. It's like, dude, this is a cold email just in my inbox on LinkedIn. So I actually don't think I've opened LinkedIn in probably 6 months. Well, that's not true. I've probably opened it once or twice to look up other people. But for myself, I don't know where my updated is. I probably should do it. I probably should update it.
Nah. I think you're doing. You seem to be doing okay without it right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fix it, right?
Almost all of our hires are through people I know or like our advisors or someone. So I just haven't needed to use it for recruiting. And so,
Well, I
yeah.
feel like that's pretty good to actually. And I've had this theory I used to work in higher education. I would manage students, but I noticed that instead of doing a hiring event or whatever they're called now, you know, I would most of the time, like my better employees, I would just ask, hey, do you have any friends that are looking for jobs? And if they wanted to recruit somebody or get somebody recruited, I was like, I'll be open to it just because in my point of view, they already knew kind of what they were getting into because of their friends, and they kind of knew how the job was already going to be rather than just walking into something they didn't expect. And I had a lot of success doing things that way. And even though some people are probably thinking right now, well, you should never do that. And I'm not saying I never did hire anybody with like new blood, I guess, so to speak, but I just found that I had more success hiring people that were already kind of knew the job and already knew how they were and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, like my brother helps me a lot. He's basically like the creative director.
So
And so, he was always a writer. So he's a brilliant copywriter and helps with just, I'll have a good idea and he'll just turn it into like the actual front facing, customer facing version of it. I can do that sometimes, but not always. It's nicer to just make some rough idea and be like, "Hello, here you go."
yeah.
But he was a marketer for a while, and he's done a lot of branding for other companies. So he helps me recruit a lot of marketing people, and so I know I can trust him. So if he's telling me someone's good, so we just hired a new email person. She's great. Recommend. So it's really nice to the people I hired are A plus, and so it's kind of one of those things where if you hire A plus people, they'll hire A plus people. The second you start dipping, if I hired a B person, they would then hire a C, and like that's when things get diluted. Is when you start having people who are less incredible. So we hire very slowly and fire very quickly. Is someone said that once, and I just liked like, oh, that's what we do, but we
I like
don't fire people almost ever because the people I hire are fantastic.
Well, I like that. I never thought about it in that point of view where or perspective that if you hire A plus people, you'll just keep A plus people. But if you start, then they'll go to a B and then they'll get to a C. And
Yeah, if you hire a B person and then they need help because they will, because they're not an unbelievable. And by the way, B people can get the job done. I don't know.
sure,
I'm
I
not
agree.
talking about anyone specifically, but they are going to hire someone. They don't necessarily even recognize necessarily what an A or A plus person is. So that best they'll hire a B person. But if you are an A person and hired a B person, chances are a B person is going to hire a C person. And then you end up with giant corporations that are bloated. And it's the reason why every tech company is laying off an unbelievable amount of people. There's just, universities have giant administrations that are unnecessary and you just get, bloated and ridiculous. And then you end up losing money because your payroll's out of control.
Mhm.
So as a startup, we literally can't afford that. No, they can't afford it either.
Yeah.
But we certainly can't. I
Yeah.
can't afford half our team to be shitty.
No, I agree because, when I was working in higher ed and, we'd go to meetings or have people come visit us or whatever, but I just remember so many people at certain administration levels and they all had these, I don't know, in my opinion, just basically shitty job titles. And it
Yeah,
was
the amorphous. What do you even do?
Yeah, it's like, did y'all
What do
make
you
this
do?
up? Yeah, like why? Where's this budget money from this coming from? Couldn't we use that? And I'm not discrediting anybody in their job or
Students are
anything.
paying for it. It's why tuitions went up. Tuitions went up because not because of educational value didn't go up. College degrees aren't more valuable than they were. They're actually less valuable. They help you get a job less, and the education's arguably worse. Um, why is tuition two, three, 4x what it was even 20 years ago?
Sure.
Administrative fees, bloated
Yeah.
administrations.
Yeah, administrative fees, new buildings getting built. And I understand like that, like, oh, this is how we got to have to recruit people to come into to on campus or whatever. But those administrative fees, like people, when I was like, I just remember always thinking, like, you do this and they're paying you six figures. It's like, wow.
Yeah, good gig though.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I don't want
You
to,
get that job. It's good. It's nice. Do nothing, you get six figures.
exactly. It's a very cushy job. And then, plus all the benefits and stuff. But, and I don't want to discredit anyone or call anybody out, but I just remember always because,
I'm fine.
I was on a very small level of higher education. Just like always thinking that they're in meetings and then they would start gassing themselves up about what they're doing and stuff. It's like, yeah, I kind of roll my eyes. It's kind of like what you just did right there. And it's like, is this really what we're doing right here? I mean, why?
It's hard, man.
Why?
It's hard. It's because there's only one way in my world to succeed, and that is like deliver more value than you cost. And that's for myself. That's for anyone I hire. That's for any team member. It's like, and my team members deliver 10 times the value they cost with time, effort, money. They bring me what I like to call good surprises. I have no problem if they bring me bad news, as long as the bad news is like reasonable. If, hey, we're building this thing and it's got a bug. Hey, I'm making this ad, but it's taking longer. That's fine, but you also need to bring me good surprises. My developer does it all the time. He'll do something like, hey, I was building this. I realized the way we wanted to build it, it made no sense. So I switched it to this, redesigned it, and here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Thanks. I'm glad so it's always about people, and you want those kinds of people. They'll make your life easier because the startup is hard, growth is hard, getting
Mm.
to the next level, and then beyond and beyond and beyond is very hard. So you can't rely on the people around you. You can do everything yourself, maybe for the first year. Then you need two extra people who are basically
Sure.
like you. Then you need five, then you need 10. And so to really get to a giant level, you need a lot of great people. So you need to hire great. I don't know. I keep repeating it, but I
No, I
can't
agree. I
stress
agree.
that enough. That's the one thing that I think has been, I find really good people.
Yeah. I mean, I love it because it's one of those, I'm a sucker for all those inspirational quotes and stuff all the time, but it's, I forget how it goes, but it's like, if you want to go on a journey, go by yourself. But if you want to go farther,
If you want to go fast, go alone. I think if you want to go far, go
there you
together.
go. That's
I
what
think
it's
I
something
think
like
I
that.
saw a movie where someone said it recently. Don't. It's not like I read it. I think it was in a movie.
Okay,
Or
maybe that's where it was. I picked it up. Yeah, I don't even know,
yeah,
but I
I don't
could.
know. I like it though. I like that quote. Yeah.
Yeah, I like stuff like that. And it's like, and it makes perfect sense because, when people talk about, oh, they're a lone wolf and they don't need anybody around them. And I don't know if that's a defense mechanism or what, but because, you always need people to kind of help you out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't do anything alone. I mean, I formulated this alone, but like I couldn't make the bottles. I couldn't do this. I couldn't grow it. I couldn't market it. I couldn't make the website. So great. I would have had some stuff in a big beaker, and who wants it? It wouldn't have worked if it was just me. So you also just are a human being. You don't have, I don't care if you're Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, like they have engineers, they have a
Oh,
lot of people doing a lot of things.
yeah. Well, it's
So
just like you said that, and I don't know if they were kind of big picture kind of guys or small detail kind of people, but there was one thing I think it was in Malcolm Gladwell's book that I was reading. But anyway, he was just talking about how Steve Jobs wanted, like, it's something about his father did cabinetry when he was younger, but he wanted the inside of the iPhone on the back to look aesthetically pleasing as he could get it. And even though he knew nobody would ever see it in the inside unless he popped open the iPhone, but that's what he wanted, his, I guess, team to design and stuff like that and make it to look.
oh, the interior of it,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, like the
There's a
back of
story
it.
about yeah. There's a story about him too, where I don't know if this is true or not, but it's in my head, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it's him.
that's
Where
fine.
basically he took the iPhone in the early days with the iPod, and he was just trying to make it as small as possible. The engineers were like, "We can't make it smaller." I think he like put it in some water in like a fish tank, and a couple bubbles came out. He goes, "There's air in there, so you can make it smaller."
That makes perfect sense. I've never heard that
Yeah,
before.
it does, because that means there's volume inside. It's like they were probably like, "We hate this guy."
I'm sure they were like, damn, we got to do some work now.
Ugh.
Well, and into that sense, I mean, what is the future of Crete? Also, yeah, where did the name Crete come from? I wanted to ask you that.
So it came from two different places and kind of interject. It just intersected perfectly. So the first was I just like the name. I liked Greek names for things. I looked up a bunch of Greek god names. I like Nike, Kith, Knicks. I just thought they're clean, they're masculine without being like, like war or something, or like sports something, or armor or fighting, whatever. I was like, okay, Greek names are cool. They have a little history and depth to them. So then originally the first product we wanted to launch was going to be concealer. And I thought, okay, well, women have foundation. So maybe guys love concrete, and we'll call the concealer concrete concealer. And then I was like, oh, concrete. Crete's an island in Greece. Let's call it that. That sounds cool. We switched it to a K to make sure that it wasn't confused, and nobody owned it. We trademarked it and got it. And then I liked it more and more because it was like, it's discreet for men, couple things kind of worked out. And then humorously, I think, eventually we'll start calling fans of Cretans or something like that.
I like that.
But yeah, it just worked. It was, 5 letters, pretty hard to misspell, easy to
Sure.
pronounce. We could own it outright. It was like, it's not for men or women. It's just a strong name like Nike.
Yeah, yeah. It comes off just like what you said, like Nike. It's real quick. It's nice. It's clean.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very. I've never heard that word before until when I was reading your bio or whatever, and I was like, I
Yeah,
like.
and so there's an island in Greece with a lot of ancient history called Crete, with Crete.
Okay.
And it's like, for people who do know that place, it's in the Mediterranean. It's a beautiful island. It's like, yeah, we'll take that association as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do
So
you ever I know you market more towards males, but do you ever have any females trying out your products too?
we do actually decent amount of women. They like our branding. They like the fact that it's called, the tagline is 30-second skincare. And they see the ingredients we use and the quality of the product in our testimonials and our reviews and everything. And they basically get to buy a product without the pink tax. That's what you call it when you basically take a product, sell it to women for more, and you charge them for putting it in a pink bottle or something. So, for guys, the quality of our product, if I put it in a like fancier bottle that was maybe a $10 glass bottle with some cool ornament bullshit on it. Our bottle right now is $1. If I bought one that was way crazier looking, pretended it was from France by, getting some factory in France and making it there instead, I could charge $150 to $200 for our formula,
Yeah,
because it is the quality of products that are at that price point. I didn't want to do that. $39 is not cheap as is. It's
sure,
pretty, it's so I didn't want to price out guys. I didn't think guys would do it. So a lot of women come and they
true.
see like, wait, there's hyaluronic acid and apple stem cell extract that you import from Switzerland, and green tea extract, and this is the before and after. Like, okay, it says it's for men, but I'm going to buy this anyway. And eventually we'll most likely start selling to women. We just will. It's, the products we formulated specifically for men, but they end up working really great for women as well.
Yeah. I like what you just said about you knew how to price it, just because I'm one of those guys who, if I really needed something, it's like, oh, this is $100 for skincare. It's like, nah, I'm not paying for that. But
Yeah.
you're saying okay, that's reasonable. Because if I really need some concealer,
39's like, ooh, that's a little pricey, but you know what? It's six. We also offer it for $6 to try it for a full bottle when you subscribe, and you can cancel anytime. So we make it very easy. We offer free shipping. So it's like $6. People get it and they're like, okay, this was worth it. And then they never cancel.
Mhm.
So it's not a risk for us to give basically an 84% discount on the first bottle.
Yeah.
We like 90 something% of people come back. It's like, okay.
But
And they come back for like 30 something bucks a second bottle. It's not like it stays at that inexpensive. But we priced that basically so that we could make the product better.
I
You
like
know,
it.
we could be doing Old Spice or CVS kind of brands they kind of work, but no, ours literally, these aren't fluff ingredients. They are very powerfully focused ingredients that solve skin issues.
Yeah.
Legitimately. Yeah.
What is I mean, like again, the future. I mean, like you were talking about, you just shaved and you had some redness because that's what usually happens to me. I get bad aftershave. I even
Mhm.
shave my head every night, but I don't really get much shave on there. But I'm always looking for something like to make my head nice and
Honestly, our facial serum would be perfect, and we are actually starting to market it to guys who shave their head. Like that is something for January that we're doing because one of my guys, he worked at a razor company for head razors.
see.
So he's the guy that does our ads. So he actually, for the last couple months, has been like, well, it's funny because one, you need it. Two, no one's really marketing stuff to you. And three, you're going to use 2 to 3 times as much of the product because 2 pumps here, 3 pumps here. It's like,
Exactly.
okay, you're actually a power user. So
Good guy right
um, it's pretty funny. Our body serum, we're launching that on Black Friday, so in about 2 or 3 weeks. Um, it's a similar thing. We focus more on tripeptide 29, which is a collagen booster, which is, the main protein in skin. And so that works super well. And it just make the before and afters are crazy. Your arm just like, it just looks healthier because
now.
it is and hydrating. But tattoos really pop. So we're going after that niche with that product. That's going to be interesting because that product's, yeah, it really makes your tattoos look like you just got them yesterday.
Yeah, that's
I'm not even a tattoo guy. I just my brother has some and he tried it on. He was like, "Holy shit!" It's like,
no, I have
"Well,
one
we're gonna sell
tattoo.
that."
I have one tattoo, and I've been, I like it every day, but they kept telling me to put certain creams on it and stuff. But a cream like that's what you said. I was like, ooh, to keep making it look at pop. Yeah, that's what I want.
Every day you can use it. It'll dry in like a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. It'll look the
So
color will just be more vibrant. Yeah.
was that kind of your philosophy too? Is this that hey, this needs to be 30 seconds of use? Because no guy wants to sit there and do a
Yeah.
lot.
Absolutely. The funny thing is some of our products take less than 30 seconds to use,
Yeah,
but 30 seconds was a good tagline because it seems like it's no amount of time, but it's just enough time to actually accomplish something. So yeah, like pump, it's
yeah,
10 seconds.
yeah.
It's
I
not
love
30, but we wanted to call it that because some products do take 30. But yeah, it's as much a philosophy as it is a tagline. We don't have any products with accessories. There's no like this comes with this, and you have to mix these two things. No, everything is simple. It's going to be basically like twist the thing and apply it, or like pump on your hand and apply it. It's going to be dead simple. There's not going to be any like 10 product in a row BS where you're stuck in your bathroom and like, what are these? What order is this? I don't fucking know.
it.
That's the whole point. It's like I went through that. I'm not this lover of skincare routines. I'm not trying to put a mask on for 45 minutes while I like have cucumbers in my eyes. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
I forget to use my own skincare because I'm a fucking regular dude. Like I that's the honest truth.
I
But if
agree.
it wasn't that easy, I would never use it. So I use it because we made it that easy.
Yeah, I love that mindset just because you're actually looking at it how, especially like a person like me would just be like, because my morning routine is easily just brush your teeth, wash your face. I usually shave my head at night just so I don't have to do it in the morning. And just like, hey, I want to be in and out. I don't want to spend all night or
Mhm.
all day doing a whole beauty routine. So, yeah,
Yeah, I like today, for instance, right? I shaved and it was like, ow. Oh yeah. Okay, let me apply. Like
yeah, done, done.
I wasn't thinking about a lot. I was thinking about work, and it just we made it easy. And we do sell 3 packs, which a lot of guys buy so they can have one in a bathroom, one in like a bag, one in
Nice.
their car, and
Yeah,
that way they don't have to think about it. It's just like
just there.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, Jake, I mean, I don't want to be respectful of your time. I know we're getting kind of short on here, but you're a badass dude, man. I appreciate you
I
coming on
appreciate that,
here.
man.
Yeah, and I appreciate you talking with me. If you want to plug Crete or just people want to find you or anything you want to plug in general, feel free to do that.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, just go to crete.club, Krete.club. just try a bottle. It's $6. We have crazy sales. Honestly, depending on when this comes out, if this is during Black Friday, we're probably going to have like big sales. Our hydrating facial serum is like the best moisturizer on earth. Whatever skin issue you have, dry skin, signs of aging, redness, they'll go away like with consistent use for a couple days to a week or so. Yeah, it's $6 for the first bottle if you subscribe. And you can like get it and then cancel if you don't like it. No problem. So we make it pretty simple. I mean, that's it. That's again, it's 30 seconds to explain the brand. So there it is.
Cool. Well,
30 seconds.
Badass, dude. Again, thanks for being here, Jake, man. I appreciate you chatting.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So anything else or you good?
I'm good. You get back to work.
All right. Sounds good. All right, folks, we're out of here. See ya.